Well, good afternoon and welcome to our weekly Smithsonian Learning Lab office hours. My name is Darren Milligan. I'm the acting director of the Smithsonian Center for Learning and Digital Access, and it's my pleasure this week to be your host for our 1 hour open session to answer any questions you might have about finding and using digital resources from across the Smithsonian or using one of the tools of the Smithsonian Learning Lab platform. I'm going to go through a couple slides here real quick just to let you know how things work here during our open session. First, a reminder about our schedule. We're here most Tuesdays between the hours of 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern Time, but the full schedule of our events is available at learninglab.si.edu/about/events. Again, as a reminder, this is a great place for recommendations on finding one of our many digital Smithsonian resources. We're up well over 5 million digital resources now available to you for use on the Smithsonian Learning Lab. But we've also got videos and other museum resources, including Smithsonian Magazine articles and digitized books and a wide variety of digital content available for you to use in your teaching or in your learning. Or if you're a seasoned user of the Learning Lab and want to go a little deeper, or you're just getting started with using our digital learning platform, this is a great place to ask for orientation or to ask about a specific tool or feature, and we can walk you through that live during our session. The way that you can submit your questions into me, the host, this week, if you are watching this stream on the YouTube Smithsonian Education channel, you can use the chat box. It's typically located to the right of the screen. Sometimes it's just below the screen, depending on the device you're using and the resolution of your screen. But if you have a question and you're ready to send that in, you can use that chat area to submit your questions. I'll see all the chat comments here on my end, and I can answer those questions as they come through. If you're joining us today on the Smithsonian Education Facebook live stream, you can also submit your questions, but this time you want to use the comment feature of Facebook. So just below the video screen, you should see a comment button. If you click on that and submit a comment on this video, I'll also see those coming in and I can address those questions as they come through. As a reminder, on the Smithsonian Learning Lab platform, we've consolidated distance learning resources for teachers, students, caregivers, families who might be looking for extra support as they manage homeschooling and the challenges of education in our COVID environment. So you can find those resources directly from the homepage. There's a large banner for distance learning resources, and we update those constantly as new resources become available, as they're created by the hundreds of educators from across the Smithsonian museums, research libraries, archives, and the National Zoo. So it's a great place to check back in if you're looking for a particular resource for you or the learners in your life. And that's about it. That's the whole introduction. So if you have a question, I'm here till 5 o'clock Eastern time today. As a reminder, just use that chat box to the right of the screen on the YouTube stream or the comment button on Facebook. If you have just joined us, welcome to our weekly Smithsonian Learning Lab office hours. My name is Darren Milligan. I'm here in DC, and I'm your host this week for our open session for support on finding and using Smithsonian digital resources or using one of the tools of the Smithsonian Learning Lab. If this is your first time here, the way you get your questions into me is if you're watching this on the Smithsonian Education YouTube page, you can use the chat area. It should be located just to the right of the screen. And if you are watching this on the Smithsonian Education Facebook, you can use the comment feature of Facebook to submit your questions into me. I'll come in here and I'll put them up on the screen and we can take those questions as they come in one by one. Thanks for joining us. If you have just joined us, you're definitely in the right place for our weekly Smithsonian Learning Lab office hours. My name is Darren Milligan. I'm here at the Smithsonian Center for Learning and Digital Access, who's the team that built and manages the Smithsonian Learning Lab platform. If you have a question on finding and using one of our millions of digital museum resources, or a question about how to use the Smithsonian Learning Lab, you're in the right place. We can take your questions and answer those as they come in until 5 o'clock Eastern time today. The way you submit those questions is by use the chat box if you're on the Smithsonian Education YouTube channel, should be just to the right of the screen, or if you're streaming this on Facebook on the Smithsonian Education Facebook page, or on your stream, you can use the comment button just below the video stream to submit your questions. We'll wait for those to come in. Thanks. If you have just joined us, you're definitely in the right spot for our weekly Smithsonian Learning Lab office hours. My name is Barry Milligan. I'm here in Washington, D.C., and I'm your host this week for our open session between the hours of 4 and 5 p.m. Eastern. To submit your questions, you just want to use that chat area. If you're watching this on YouTube, it should be just to the right of your screen. If you're on our Facebook stream, you use the comment button. It should be just below, and you can use that to submit your questions. I'll take those as they come in, and thanks for joining us. Hi, Anthony. I do see your message there on YouTube. Definitely here. We're just waiting for some questions to come in. This is our Smithsonian office hour, so it's an open session. I've been kind of quiet here, as you might be able to tell from the chat, but if you have a question or are looking for a tip, I'm more than happy to help out. I'm here for about another 15 minutes, so let me know how I can help you. Hi, Anthony. Unfortunately, I won't be able to hear you. Hopefully, you can hear me, but I can hear you. The way to submit your questions in is to do exactly what you've been doing there, using the chat area, and that way we can get your question in. There we go, Anthony. So you've got a question here. I'm going to go ahead and put this up on the screen. Anthony's asking, do you have a link to a good artifact from the Norfolk 17? Great question. I'm not sure, Anthony. Let me head over here and see what we can find. I would imagine we'd have some artifacts in the collection from the Norfolk 17, but let's check and see. I'm going to pull up another tab here and get another search going. Anthony has a follow-up question here. Here we go. Right, we're a good artifact on the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Let me see what we've got there too. We did have a report that things are a little bit slow in the loading now, so looks like we don't have anything there for Norfolk 17. That's odd. Let's see here. Try to search a little bit differently. Look, we certainly have a lot of resources around the civil rights movement. Looking for something specific on the Act of 1964. We may have some articles here from Smithsonian Magazine. Quite a bit here on the March on Washington in '63. And I'm going to put a link to the search right in the chat area here too. So hopefully you can jump in and grab those two and explore a little bit deeper. I'm not exactly sure what you're looking for, but you might find something here between our National Museum of African American History and Culture, as well as our National Museum of American History. Most likely should have some resources around this Act in '64. Really good today. Every once in a while we hit a little snag here and things slow down a bit, so like that might be what happened. Let's see what's going on here. removed the quotes here, and I don't. This is for the search for Norfolk 17, which these do not look like the thing you're probably looking for, Anthony. I'm going to switch over to the second tab here on the Learning Lab. These are user-created Learning Lab collections, so there could be something here that's more along the lines of a lesson plan. Anthony asked the question here, what's between resources and Learning Lab collections? So Anthony, resources are all the digital resources that come from across all the Smithsonian museums and resources. So these are things like objects from the museum that have been photographed and now digitized, available online. But there are also videos, Smithsonian magazine articles, digitized books, websites, all the digital content from across all the Smithsonian. So there's about 5.6 million resources available on the Learning Lab. Learning Lab collections now are what you can use the Learning Lab to create. So collections are aggregations of those resources that Smithsonian educators and curators have made, but also teachers and students, librarians and curriculum designers and specialists, anyone who has a free Learning Lab account has created and published on the Learning Lab. So you'll find all kinds of things there. You can see here, I switched over here to Learning Lab collections. You can see here there are, there's one here on the Civil Rights Act of 1964. There you go. Of course, this is, I'm going to open this one up here and see what Eden Bruce has made. There's a couple collections here made by the National Museum of African American History and Culture, not specifically on the Act, but certainly about the results of the Act. Let's see what this collection looks like here. So here, this is what a Learning Lab collection looks like, Anthony. So these are individual resources that the creator of this collection has pulled together around some theme, and and this theme in particular is the Civil Rights Act of 1964. There's some information about, not too much about this one. Sometimes these are aligned to standards and have other information associated with them. Just go into the first resource here and see what this collection looks like. My apologies too, this is usually quite a bit quicker. Looks like we're having some network issues or some other problems slowing things down here. So looks like here we've got a photograph here from the National Portrait Gallery. This is with President Johnson signing the act, so that might be a great one. Great place to start. I'm going to put a link. Hopefully you can see that, Anthony. I'm going to put a link here into the chat area directly to this Learning Lab collection. And I agree. I think the Learning Lab isn't necessarily a traditional lesson plan in terms of having the specific sections or that specific format, but it's a bit more of a flexible model so that you can take this collection. Actually, if you create an account, Anthony, you can copy this collection and make modifications to it. So if it's not quite what you're looking for, but you wanted to modify it into something that is a little bit more useful for how you're planning on using it, you can do that by clicking on this copy button here, which allows you to make a copy of this published collection. So hopefully this is a good place to start. Looks like there's good stuff here about the act. There's certainly some great photographs and artwork and objects here all around that idea. So hopefully this is a good place to start. Yeah, hopefully you got that link there in the chat that you can click on or copy and paste and get you right into that collection. It looks like we've got another question here. I'm going to put this up on the screen. This is from Amy. We found an old shark tooth on the beach and we were wondering how old it might be. Uh, Amy, I'm actually a big collector of ancient shark's teeth myself. Not this year, but typically I get to spend the holidays with my parents who live on the west coast of Florida and on the Gulf Coast of Florida. And there's great shark teeth hunting along the beach there. I don't know specifically the answer to that question. I think it probably depends on a lot of things. I'm not sure if the Smithsonian has great resources on that. Let's see. Let's see what we might get here. I'm just Googling. So let's look here, fossilized shark's teeth are at least 10,000 years old, but most date from the late Cretaceous, 100 to 66 million years ago. Really, really old. I would recommend, there's some great resources online here to help you find out some more information, Amy. I know that I've even seen in the past, just in my own searching online, some charts that show you the different shapes of them. There's quite a few different varieties, and they help you understand what type of shark those are coming for. I think I even saw some here in my previous search. Yes, you can see even with just a Google image search here, you can sort of see. Here's some different identification charts. There's a great one there that kind of tells you the different varieties, different types here. It's just from Pinterest, but I would definitely encourage you to check that out and see what you find. Where did you find the tooth, Amy? Yeah, Amy, so I was just doing a Google image search. So I just searched for fossil shark tooth identification and then check out the images there. Wrightsville Beach, excellent. There in North Carolina, I think, right? I have a friend who lives somewhat near Wrightsville Beach and have been to Wrightsville Beach before. Beautiful place. Anthony, I'm not sure if I missed you, but I'm glad it's a good beginning. I'm sure the Smithsonian has a lot of resources around that. It's a really important act, really important time in our history. So I'm sure our collections have lots of great resources. So good luck and finding those and continuing your search. So thanks for joining us and for the question today. Wow, Amy, the shark teeth's 2 inches? That's amazing. Most of the ones I've found are more like ½ inch or quarter-inch. They're really, really small. But that sounds like a really awesome one. Yeah, poke around online. There's lots of great resources out there for that. There's a lot of people out there who, like you, have been fortunate enough to come across one of those, and it's pretty easy to dig in and find some really cool information about them. They're really old. It's amazing to see. So enjoy. Thanks for joining us. And it looks like we are about at the end of our session this week. So just wanted to thank you for joining me for our weekly Smithsonian Learning Lab office hour. It's been my pleasure to be with you over the past hour. And a reminder that we're here most Tuesdays between the hours of 4 and 5 p.m. So check out our schedule. If you're on the homepage of the Learning Lab and you click on Learn here on the left, That will scroll you down to the bottom of our homepage, and right here you can see a full schedule of our office hours. So you can see we're here pretty much every Tuesday, and we'll continue to be able to support you as you need. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you next week.